Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another live with Study with Pedro. It is Sunday, October the 11th, and it is 9 o'clock. Sorry, I'm a few seconds late. I'm getting more British with time. No, that's with time, I am becoming more Brazilian. So it is time to get started. As promised, I want to keep this around 45 minutes. And I'm going to go directly, well, almost directly to the presentation. One small detail: last week we had another problem with the trolls, with the people who have nothing better to do on Sunday night than bother everybody here. So I don't see any of the messages when I go to share screen. So somebody, if you see some of the messages come up, please send a message on WhatsApp, because that's the only way I can see anything after I go to share screen. So hopefully those people are not coming back tonight that were there last week. So if you see anything, please let me know on WhatsApp. Alrighty, let's go directly to the to tonight's live or presentation. I'm going to share screen right now. And it's real easy with this this program, StreamYard. I'm very happy with the results. And whoops, there we go. You're seeing everything I'm seeing right now on my screen. And here we go. As you know, I get started. I show this slide at the beginning. Let's get started. Vamos começar. And stuff. I start with this as well. Bold would be new text. For some students, it'll be old for older students, and of course, everything might be new for principiantes. So italics will be the prepositions. I hope I highlighted all of them. Asterisk will be the adverbs with ely, and the brackets will be the third column, terceira coluna. Tempo perfeito, participios. Então, red letters, any, some, no, and every. I probably missed one of these tonight, but please be patient. And then the blue letters. We need these essential words, and they all start with a vowel. So you'll see those as I go. We need to know these words for intermediate students. And the underline will be the keywords. I don't have much for keywords tonight. Could, would, and should. And also the gerunds. These are the words that end with ing. And they are not verbs. You're in Portuguese, as you know, ando, indo, indo. In English, they are not verbs. They are adjetivos or substantivos. So after a preposition the verb will be in the gerund form. And then if it's the subject or the object, for example, making bread is easy. Making bread. So that's a gerund. It's the subject of the sentence. So it's a thing. Then the adjective, we will take a look at that, describes the noun, and also after certain verbs. I think last week, I forgot the verb we looked at last week, but 2 weeks ago, it was avoid. I avoid, evitar. I avoid going to the doctor. I avoid eating sugar. No, I don't. I try, but I fail. Anyhow, now we're going to a little vocabulary. We're going to start immediately with the vocabulary. We have burn. And we looked at, actually, many of these words we have looked at in the past. And burn, queimar, that's regular. Deserve, we looked at that, I think, the last 2 weeks. And we have condemn, condenar. Meanwhile, enquanto isso. Now you know that while is enquanto. So this is a compound word. It's 2 words together. Meanwhile. This is an old English word, meanwhile. And then fair. Fair is justo. And everybody has said this word, fair, in English. In Portuguese, okay, when we were kids, we said, now is justo, né? Now is justo. It isn't fair. Mom, it's not fair. My brother gets one. Então, so I should get one. Então, plenty, I call bastante. I forget what it is in Portuguese, but plenty is, or in Google, but plenty means more than enough. More than enough, plenty. We have plenty of time tonight because I will not go to bed until midnight. Então, then angry is nervosa. Now, I use nervosa here because my wife, okay, então, as you know, I'm just kidding. Então, and then hurricane will be furacão. And I believe that is correct. I did not check that. I'm going to check that real quickly. That's from memory. I did not go to Google on this. So let me double check this real quickly. Furacão, of course. I doubted myself. Now, a little story about the War of 1812. It's the Forgotten War. Forgotten, this would be esquecido, Guerra Esquecida. So this is a forgotten war. No, everybody remembers the Revolutionary War, the Civil War in the United States, but they forget this little war with England. And it looks like it was for 1 year. And England occupied Washington during this time, during the war, occupied the city of Washington, D.C. And they burned the White House. Shocking. This is shocking. Gerundio, shocking, chocante. But this happened in 1814. I didn't know this. I thought it happened in 1812. It's the War of 1812. Well, it is called the War of 1812, but it should have been called the War of 1812 to 1815. So you see, it lasted 3 years. Here we go. It lasted 3 years. And all seemed lost in the United States at this time. All seemed lost. That England occupied Washington. What's going to happen? What saved Washington, D.C.? Obviously, they were saved. What saved Washington, D.C.? It was a hurricane. A hurricane hit the day after, I believe, a day or 2 days after the British occupied Washington, D.C. And they were forced to leave. They're forced to leave because of the hurricane. Now, sometimes God acts through the storm. Now, we looked at act last week, atuar. God acts through the storms. Absolutely. And now we're going to tonight's presentation. Is God really so angry? Is God really so angry? Oof. Pedro, I want to know. God seems a little upset sometimes. Chateado. Well, let's take a closer look. Maybe not. Now, there are 4 questions we ask in life. Unfortunately, these are not the best questions to ask, but why do bad things happen to bad people? And of course, we have the answer to this one. It's easy. They deserve it. The bad people deserve the bad things to happen to them, right? At least merecem. Então, the second question is, why do good things happen to good people? Oh, we know the answer to this one. Absolutely. Because we deserve it. Why is that? No, because we're all good. If something good happens to us, it's because we're good. Good things happen to good people. Meanwhile, por enquanto, we truly forget who is responsible. Who is responsible for us being good people? And this is a question, and we all forget this. It's our mothers who took care of us in the early years. And someday we will talk about this more. But without that foundation, I'm sorry, we're just not we can't be a good person. Sometimes we can go bad, but we owe this, nos debemos, to our mothers. And our mothers gave us that foundation, as I mentioned, foundation, fundação. Absolutely, guys. Don't forget your mothers on next Mother's Day. All right. Now, then comes the 2 most difficult questions. Why do good things happen to bad people? Ooh, it isn't fair, Pedro. Or it isn't fair, God. It isn't fair. They're bad people, and they have good things happen to them. It isn't fair. And the prophet, in English, Habakkuk, I forgot what it is in Portuguese, he touched on this. He mentioned this. And his prophecy is one of the minor prophets. You know this, minor prophets. There were 12 minor prophets. One of those was Malachi. We looked at Malachi last week, and again in the future. And we looked at Jonah or Jonas. These are minor prophets. Remember, minor just means small, not the big ones. Major, minor. This is a minor. So there are 12 minor prophets. And in the beginning of Habakkuk, he said, "How long, Lord, must I call for help?" Now here's the second interrogativo is must. Must. So I must, eu devo lavar as louças. So I must wash the dishes, says my wife. So here, must is a verb auxiliar, and it becomes the second interrogativo. How long must I call for help, Lord? But you do not listen. Oh. Or cry out to you violence, but you do not save. Now remember, cry can be short R, and it can also mean, cry out can also mean shamar, or clamar. Cry out to you violence, but you do not save. This is two questions in one. Why do bad things happen to good people? And also, why do good things happen to bad people? Oh, and there's the most difficult, as I mentioned. Why do bad things happen to good people? Plenty of books have been written about this. There's that plenty again. Bastante. Many books, plenty of books have been written about this topic. And they don't have all the answers either. Oh, why do they write them? I don't know. But they all have the same thing to say. Now, I says all the books seem. Now, as you know, this is parecer, but remember, seem and look are two different things. Seems like is a perception, and looks like is a visualization. Is something that we see. They all say the same thing. Sometimes we see God more clearly after the storm. Absolutely. And remember, storm is tempestade. We see God more clearly after the storm. Now, this is a tornado. And you don't want this, you don't want to see this in your window. It is, anyhow, nothing brings fear like a tornado. Now, here is a simile. Nothing brings fear like a tornado. This is a comparison. Anyhow, it sounds like a train. It does. It sounds like a train. And when you hear that train, the house is going to explode, probably explodir. It's coming for your house. So everybody says it sounds like a train before it hit their house, just seconds before. This is what a tornado can do. Here's some damage here. This was 4 houses, and see there's nothing left of the houses or the trees except the I don't know what you say, the trunk, the major part of the tree. So everything is destroyed, destruido. And this was a school. You see where those cars are parked. That was a school, and they just built the school. And before the school opened, the tornado took it, literally took the school away. So tornadoes can be very damaging, danificar. So why does God send the storms in our lives? Oh, well, sometimes they save us, like the hurricane in Washington, D.C. Sometimes they condemn us. Remember, condemn, condenar. And sometimes they get our attention. Absolutely. Remember, we see God more clearly after the storm. We probably weren't doing something right before the storm. Anyhow. But Pedro, God is an angry God. He destroys people, destroys things with the storms. Yeah. That's an angry God, Pedro. This shouldn't happen. There's that should, now debería. And he told the Hebrews to destroy other people. Oh, Now, what does the Bible say about this? And we're going to look at Deuteronomy 7. But first, the people use this. People who say God is angry, these people use this example. But first, here's the vocabulary. Okay, here's our new vocabulary. Attack. Yeah, almost the same word. Atacar. Attack. Heat is esquentar. So to heat is to make something hotter, hot. And then borrow, emprestar. And it doesn't matter. We looked at this, I believe, a month ago. It doesn't matter. No importa. It doesn't matter. I tell my wife, ask my wife, can I wash dishes tomorrow? Can you wash? Yeah, no important. It doesn't matter, Pedro. Of course, you know that's not true. Statue, estatua. And treaty is acordo o tratado. It says Google tratado. I've never seen tratado, so forgive me if that Google is wrong. And then land can be teja o tejeno. Teja o tejeno. And then bankrupt is falencia. Now, bankrupt can be a verb also, by the way. So in Portuguese, I believe you say in falencia. Somebody goes bankrupt. They're in falencia. And reward, recompensar. Recompensar. Então, it's the opposite of punish. You know, punish is punir. Então, here we are. Let's look at the text tonight. People of Israel, the Lord your God will help you take the land of the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Então, he will help you take this land, this Teha, or Tehenu. These 7 nations have more people and are stronger than Israel. But when you attack them, the Lord will force them out. Mandarambora, I believe you say, force them out of the land. Then you must destroy them without mercy. Now we've looked at mercy, misericordia, sem misericordia. You must destroy them, sem excepção. Então, this is not a loving God, Pedro. Here's our gerundio. This is not a loving God. He is so angry, tão nervoso. But let's take a closer look. Então, the God of these people was called Molech. That's actually one of the gods, Molech. And there are different spellings with a K. I believe in the Bible it's with K. Some people call it Moloch. So there are different spellings of this god. This god was called Molech. And we've looked at Dagon with when we looked at Jonah. There are different gods. People have their own gods. It's mentioned, this Molech is mentioned in Leviticus, actually, I believe 2 times in Leviticus. God is speaking to Moses, and he says, do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech, for you must not profane the name of your God. I believe you have the same word, profane. That's a verb. I'm sorry, it's just never used before, but I believe is it profanar? Profane the name of your God. Então, and the verb is profanar. I was correct. You'll never see this verb again. Usually it's an adjective. He is profane. That means he uses palavrões. Today, I hate to say, it's he or she is profane, because there's no. Então, this was child sacrifice. Child sacrifice. And you guys know what this is, child sacrifice, sacrificio. And here's a picture of the statue of Molech. And not a very beautiful god there, I hate to say. But what's interesting, according to historians, it's not interesting. It's terrible. The statue was made out of metal. You know this, feito, metal. And the statue was heated. Esquentou, I guess foi esquentado, until it was extremely hot, almost on fire. And then parents put their first child in the mouth or on the arms of Molech when it was extremely hot, until the baby burned to death. And the screams, gritos, as gritos, oh, they said it's horrible. They had drums, baterias, so the parents couldn't hear their child. So, no, but horrible, absolutely horrible what they did. And they believed it brought prosperity. Prosperidade. You know this word. We looked at that. Now, there's something like this in the U.S., and it's not here in Brazil. It's called abortion. Here you call it aborto. It's called abortion. Absolutely. They sacrifice their children on the altar of prosperity in the United States. And I guarantee people it's coming soon to Brazil. In Ireland, it is now legal. Abortion is now legal in Irlanda. And it's coming here eventually. Probably you'll see that in the next election or the next, well, I don't want to get into politics, but it will come soon eventually. Now what did God think about it in Israel? Now there are two prepositions I did not put in italics about and in. What did God think about it in Israel? Now here the Lord spoke to Moses and he said, say to the Israelites, suppose, now we looked at this word, suppose, suponya, said Google, a person sacrifices one of his children to the god Molech. Here they used K. It does not matter, you know this, and now important, if that person is an Israelite or a foreigner who lives in Israel. Obviously, a foreigner is an estrangeiro, and he must, there's that word must, deve, be put to death. He must be, and that's terceira coluna, put to death. Sorry, I just saw that now. Então, let's take a closer look. Because God takes child sacrifice seriously. Seriously, yes, he does. But did he destroy these other people? Did he destroy these other people? God told the Israelites, destroy all these people. But what came next? Let's look. Don't make any peace treaties with them. And don't let your sons and daughters marry, casar, any of them. Remember, treaties, acordos? Então, we'll use acordos. And don't let your sons or daughters marry any of them. Now, does anybody see something a little strange? Estranho? Does anybody see anything a little strange? Então, these people were destroyed. Foram destruídos. How could they make a peace treaty with them? How could their children marry people who don't exist anymore? And here it's hyperbole. We looked at hyperbole. It's exaggeration. Exageração. And we use that to prove something, provar, or to emphasize. Today is hot. I think it is 1,000,000 degrees outside. Fora. 1,000,000 de graus outside. My car cost an arm and a leg. Now here you would say ring. So in English we say an arm and a leg. It costs an arm and a leg. And then God said to destroy their way of life, not the people. Então, is there an example of this today? Let's take a look. Actually, there was something until the 20th century. The século XX, until the 20th century. is called bankruptcy. Now, you know, bankrupt, oops, I spelled that wrong, bankruptcy. There's an R in bankruptcy, bankrupt. It is called bankruptcy. So there was something and this is bankrupt. Now, you know, bankrupt is falencia. Bankrupt is a compound word. You know, this is two words that form one word, bankrupt. It is from bank and rupture. And rupture, I believe, is ruptura. Now, the verb is romper. Romper. Let me double check that, though. Ruptura is the noun form, but yeah, it's romper. Romper, bank and rupture. That's crazy. Rupture. Now, when they mean, in English, when we mean rupture, something is destroyed. So you have the idea of this in Portuguese, but rupture, balão, ruptured. My appendix, appendice, ruptured, rompeu. And something, now I have to go to the hospital. So, but it's an idea of not only to explode, but to be destroyed. So it's a very strange word, isn't it? Então, if you borrowed, there's a word borrow, emprestou, money from the bank, and you couldn't pay it back, then there was a problem. Then the bank totally destroyed your way of life. They destroyed all of your equipment, your office, everything, so that you couldn't function in your business, and probably did the same in your house. Destroyed the furniture, I don't know. But the total destruction of your way of life. So it was not a good thing. So always make sure you pay. Today it's a little different. Anytime you just have a bad name. Well, why doesn't God do this anymore? Why doesn't God destroy people anymore? Well, because we're not spiritual children anymore. We have the new covenant. And there is a form of maturity, spiritual maturity. Remember, the Jews had the law, Judaicos. They had the law that brought them, that forced them to mature and see the Messiah. So they're not spiritual children. And God didn't need to protect these people as a whole, como inteiro. So he acts individually, ele atua individualmente, but not for all the believers like he was for Israel. For Israel, they were spiritual children. They needed the protection, proteção. God punishes those who he loves, but he also protects those who he loves too. This is our definition. God's definition. Our thoughts are not his thoughts. We'll see later. But he also protects those who he loves, like our parents did. There's another preposition I did not highlight and put in italics, like our parents did. Right? Our parents protected us. They couldn't protect us all the time, but that's another. We will wait for another day. Like our parents should have done. Sometimes we come from different families. Some parents are more active, some aren't. But I'll leave that there. Now, what are our requirements for being God? Right? Everybody has an idea, and I've heard some strange concepções of God in my life. What are our requirements? Now, you see, requires requerer, and I believe a requirement would be requerimento. Oh, I forgot. Requirement. I will remedy this. I will fix this here. Requerimento. I was right. What are our requirements for being God? We have our own definition, propria definição of who God is, our idea. It's not important. It doesn't matter. Não importa our thoughts, right? We want God to punish the evil people, right? Punish the evil people and reward the good people. Reward, remember, recompensar? Reward the good people. That's how it works, right? And everybody agrees child sacrifice is evil. Everybody. I don't know anybody, obviously, other than Satanistas, who might agree that child sacrifice is good. Então, I'm sure they know that it's evil. And he punished these people for doing child sacrifice. And people accuse God of being a cruel God. Here, God is God, like they want. He's trying to stop the child sacrifice. And people say he's cruel. He can't get a break. He has no luck. I've tried to look for this on Google. I've asked some people, not my wife, but I don't know. He just can't get a break. So this is an expression in English where he has no luck. He does something right, he's doing something wrong. If he does something they think is wrong, it's wrong. If he's right, he's wrong. So he can't get a break. And break is intervalo, breakfast, or break quebrar. But we use this as give me a break. Whew. Somebody, if you know, please put this on the message section, please. Então, now sometimes we have things backward. Backward means para trás, or it can also mean ao contrário. We have progress. Progress is always going forward, and backward is always going para trás. I don't know what that is in Portuguese, forgive me. But God made us in his image. God made us in his image. Remember, he created us. Sometimes we forget that. Well, we always forget that. But we make God in our image. And remember those requirements for being God? We make God in our image. Então, I'm a good person, right? God should be a good person. And we ask God, please bless our plans, because we're good people. Give me everything I want. Abençoa, por favor, meu plano. Então, that is how things should be, right? I'm a good person. I deserve good things. Good people deserve good things to happen to them. Então, now 1 Corinthians 13. You guys, some of you know this. This is the love chapter. Paul talks about love. I think the word, I forget how many times he uses the word love in this chapter. It says that love does not envy. Now the noun form is inveja. So envy, inveja. And I forgot the verb form. That love does not envy. Doesn't want what the other person has. And that's a wonderful thing. Love does not envy. Invejar, that's right. Invejar is the verb. Love does not envy. But God is a jealous God. Now, envy usually, and it's the same in Portuguese, but envy is for things and jealous is for people. And so in English, sometimes we use it wrong. So I'm jealous because you have a new car. So that's I want that car, and we say I'm jealous. That's wrong. But welcome to English. Então, two times, God said, "I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God." There is no doubt what he says here. I'm a jealous God. Ooh. Now, remember, he is jealous for his people. Now, you are Brazilians, so Brazilians know this word very well, jealous. And God is jealous for his people, but It's a little different than human jealousy. Então, now love is patient, Paul said. God was patient with the Israelites. Israelites, I believe. God was patient, very patient. While Moses was on the mountain, they made and they worshipped the golden calf. Calf, I forgot to highlight this. Calf is a baby cow, vaquinha, I don't know, and it's made out of gold. And that should be a highlighted golden calf. Golden can be a verb. And it's not used, but it can be. So they made and worshiped the golden calf. And God gave them every opportunity for more than 1,000 years. More than 1,000 years gave them every opportunity. There it is, millennium. You have the same word in Portuguese, almost. It's 1,000 years. Over. Mais de 1,000. Over. Over, acima, and over million would be mais de. Então, now if you were God, Pedro, se você for Deus, Pedro, what would you have done? There's the example where I forgot to sublinhar, underline this word. This is a key word tonight. What would you have done if you were God? This is a conditional. And in the past, if you were God, Pedro, what would you have done? Would have, remember, is a past tense, conditional. What would you have done, Pedro? I would have destroyed them too, like you. You're doing something wrong. Destroyed, right? If you were God, I would have destroyed them. Like God should destroy us for our sin, right? No, we're good people, though. Those are bad people. We're good people. Yes, I sin, but hey, that's a little different because I'm good. Então, we don't deserve that. Nós não merecemos. We're good people. God has a plan for the Jews and for us individually. I should say he has a plan for Israel. Not the Jews, but for Israel. Still has a plan. Absolutely. God has not forgotten the Jews. And he has a plan for us. And we need to remember one thing. This is a religion of faith alone. And it has been a religion of faith alone since Abraham. Alone, sozinho, só. Since Abraham. Abraham. Absolutely. Nothing has changed. It has been just the covenants have changed, but it is still a religion of faith. Faith alone. It is not a religion of prosperity or all the answers. If you do this, you're going to heaven. If you do that, you're going to hell. So, no, it doesn't have all the answers. You need to go to the creator, called the 0800, 0800, call the number, call the manufacturer, the Fabrica, Liga Fabrica. They will tell you, God will tell you the answers. Então, our thoughts, nossos pensamentos, are not God's thoughts. God did not destroy Egypt. Ooh. Israel was almost driven, dirigir, driven in the Red Sea. And now that should be into, if you're Britannicos, it should be driven into the Red Sea. American English just read driven in the Red Sea before God finally did something. And everybody complained. Reclamou. Todo mundo reclamou. We're good people. Why are we going in the desert for 40 years? No deserto. 40 years, 40 anos. We're good people. Então, also, God did not destroy Israel or the priests. For leading Israel in the national rejection of Jesus. And I said, I wrote this wrong last week. I wrote last week for leading Israel in the national rejection of Israel. Forgive me. Remember that from last week. But they did not destroy Israel or the priests for leading Israel in the national rejection of Jesus. However, he did destroy the nation of Israel eventually, as he promised. So, and that's the hard part. We do something wrong, and we expect punishment, punição, and then it doesn't come. And oh, this is nice. I can do this again, and it doesn't. Nothing bad happens. So we need our thoughts are not God's thoughts, but He has not forgotten you or your sin. Então, and He did not destroy us for our sins. There's a reason. Now, Psalm 46:10, it says, there it is, be still. Now, still means not change. Remember, we've looked at this in the past. Ainda can be still or yet, and still means not changed. I believe we looked at this a few months ago. It has been a long time. Be still. So do not change. Be still. Fica calma. Fica calma. Don't do anything. Be still. Do not change. And know that I am the Lord. And just be grateful. Gratidão. I don't know. Gratidão. Grato. For the blessings that God has given you. And there is a reason for the bad things that happen to us. Some of those we will not find out. Some of those are not hard to see. God gets our attention sometimes, but we just don't know. Blessed be the name of the Lord, it says in the Bible, in the good times and the bad. And that's all I can say about the bad things that happen. But we need to remember that God has a plan. And He's got a plan for my life, and He's got a plan for your life. But it is individual. It's not. I can't judge you. Não posso julgar. I can't tell you why the bad things are happening. And some people have some real bad problems happen to them. Bad things happen to them. But we just need to be grateful that this world is only temporary, and that we have eternity. You know this word, eternity, eternidade, and that's our home. This home is only temporary. Just please be still and know that He is the Lord. Então, next week we will look at this at a different angle, com ângulo diferente, and we're going to stop here tonight. Thank you for attending this live. I stopped right at 44 minutes, so I'm doing a great job. No bad comments also. So we're going to stop here tonight, people, and have a good weekend, and see you in class this week. And I hope you all had a good weekend and have a good week ahead of us. Tomorrow is our vacation. And by the way, so we have two famous people now. One is Paulo. Good evening, Paulo, for joining us. Thank you for joining us. So you and Rafael, there's Rafael. Now everybody knows you around the world. So thank you for for coming tonight. Maybe there were more than two. So hope everybody has a good vacation tomorrow, and see you next week. Good night, everybody.